Kamala Harris may have found a new low, if possible. A new poll shows the vice president is second to last when Americans are asked their feelings about 9 political figures and institutions. Only the Democrat Party is viewed as more unpopular. The low marks come as the vice president delivers yet another new word salad, this time at a summit in Washington between the United States and our allies in South Asia.
Our world is increasingly more interconnected and interdependent. That is especially true when it comes to the climate crisis, which is why we will work together and continue to work together to address these issues, to tackle these challenges, and to work together as we continue to work operating from the new norms, rules, and agreements that we will convene to work together on.
She used work 6 times. Tomi, the art of the thesaurus may come in handy.
This is obviously somebody who did not study for the test. The problem with this is not day one. She's had long enough to do something. I think that, for me, is what I find most insulting, is that it's one thing to be green. She shouldn't be green. She's been a politician for most of her life. But to not do anything, and you realize how badly you've done thus far in your role as vice president with such a historic title that you have and what you represent for so many people, and then to not even try, that's what I find so insulting, is she could have taken this time and said, you know what, I'm not really good at this whole camera thing, this whole speaking thing, this whole doing anything thing, so I'm just going to take the initiative to do something, and it just gets progressively worse. I mean, I know Joe Biden looks awful, but, you know, she's much younger and probably about as bad when it comes to stumbling.
Tomi, I have to take issue with you. She's a very creative woman. She's created a new drinking game that the entire country can take part in. I feel a little like Kamala Harris today at a G7 summit, all alone and isolated in the middle of the couch. This is how she is.
You've got it so rough today.
I do have it rough today. I'm thinking I'm going to create a new game, as long as drinking games, where whichever side of the couch has the more convincing arguments, I'm going to gravitate over there. So make you work a little bit for this. But the thing that I found amazing watching this, it's hard to imagine a more inarticulate, inept politician than Joe Biden. But Joe Biden has found it in Kamala Harris. And the reason the staff is fleeing from her office is because of moments like this. I don't know who's writing these speeches. They should be fired instantly. But even Simone Sanders, her former PR hack, now at MSNBC, the first interview of that show was with Jill Biden, not her former boss, because she knows this woman is bad for ratings. When you've lost Charlemagne the God, you've lost everybody. Kamala Harris is really done.
Well said. Elon Musk has some thoughts. I don't know if they'll top Raymond's, but here we go.
The real president is whoever controls the teleprompter. You know, it's like the path to power is the path to the teleprompter. I do feel like if somebody would accidentally lean on the teleprompter, it's going to be like Anchorman.
100%, which would be another drinking game.
Yes.
Look, this man has voted overwhelmingly for Democrats, right? And he says so freely. And yet this party has absolutely decided to vilify him. Remember, they're now calling him a robber baron and a racist because they're allergic to common sense. And he went on to talk about the roots of inflation, right? The fact that the federal government was writing checks like there's no tomorrow, driving up spending, driving up inflation. He also talked about the issues of the Democrat Party, which is that they're totally beholden to and absolutely handcuffed by the unions. And this is what the Democrat Party doesn't like. In addition to the truth, is simple common sense. They've decided to absolutely create him and hold him out as a pariah and ignore the point that he's making, which is that for someone with a really large platform, they shouldn't be doing. But he says, look, bottom line, if you guys want to get anywhere, you have to extricate yourself from being held by the unions. But it's not going to go anytime soon. It's not going to work anytime soon if Biden's still doing what he does every day.
Yes. Julie, here on the Faulkner Focus, Senator Tim Scott, he had some thoughts about some of the issues with the Democrat Party. Let's see.
But how does raising taxes on corporations lower the cost of gas?
About the fact that the words that people speak are disconnected from the reality. You hear that inflation is good for people living in poverty. Nothing is further from the truth. You know that baby formula is hard to find, but you knew that several months ago and you did nothing with it. It's almost as if the administration wants us to believe what they are saying as opposed to what we are seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, hear the words out of their mouth, not what we see them doing.
Julie.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, first of all, baby formula aside, I just don't think any transmission of communication is happening from the White House. And when Kamala Harris speaks, I actually don't think she should be speaking anymore. I think when she actually steps up to a podium, people are now looking for these blunders. And we're talking more about this. Maybe she's doing it on purpose, actually. I think this might actually be a really smart move.
Don't disincentivize
her teleprompter
her.
operator is purposely trying to get her to screw up so that we're not actually talking about the fact that she never went to the border, or she actually never really did anything about the border. The fact that the president's not even going to be in the country when Title 42 expires on May 23rd. But, she says stuff like the passage of time is the passage of time, which is time of the passage of time. Nailed it. That's how she wants it.
The weird part is it looks like she was reading off a
She makes me want to start drinking
Yeah, I know.
again.
We really should just bring out the bar. We'll all be loaded by the middle of the show, but why not? We need the material, Julie. We don't want to disincentivize her from doing it. They just sent her to the UAE. They had the leader there in the United Arab Emirates died. They sent on Monday Kamala Harris leading the delegation. They left her there for 3 hours. 3 hours, and she was out. So I'm expecting war in the Middle East at any moment. So brace yourself,
It's dangerous.
ladies and
What's
gentlemen.
peculiar is when Biden wanders off, it's clear he's wandering, whereas Kamala, it's like she was reading that.
She's not
like a
trying to
speechwriter wrote
but
that.
I will defend her in one thing. She hasn't tried to shake hands with the United States flag recently.
True.
So I
didn't
think
turn her
she's
back
on
on
her
the
game.
podium. Yeah,
That bar
there
is
you go.
low.
There's time.
Low bar, yes. Coming up.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.